is like, what's the level of pain? Like, is there actually a really strong negative reaction? Or, that's indicative of a serious problem that's worth addressing. And I think that's where, because as a startup, you've got such limited capital, you need to be able to uncover those problems that have such a big gap, like there's like a vacuum. And so, when you do create something, because it's not going to be perfect at first, it's going to be pretty rough around the edges because you've got no capital. You're just, hacking away in your room on a computer or something like this. For it to work, you need like a really strong vacuum to kind of suck you in.
Welcome back, guys, to another freshly minted episode of Fantom Edge. I'm here with a very special guest, co-founder and CEO of Crypto Tax Calculator, Shane Brunette. Shane, thank you so much for being here today, man.
Thanks for hosting.
Yes, so of course, man, I'm excited because this is a very interesting topic for any crypto native, and I'm glad I'm finally talking to a builder that's in the trenches. So to start it off, man, can you explain what Crypto Tax Calculator is and why it's important for a crypto native like myself to be aware of it and utilize it?
Yeah, so Crypto Tax Calculator is built specifically for Web3 users. So anyone doing on-chain activity, whether that's NFT flipping, DeFi, trading on a decentralized exchange, as well as, of course, all their, centralized exchange activity, such as Coinbase, Binance, et cetera, et cetera. I was actually building a decentralized exchange back in 2018, at the start of 2018. Ended up with a total crypto tax nightmare personally, and just realized how painful it was to actually be compliant. I wasn't looking to commit tax fraud or anything like that. And just realized that for, the masses to be able to adopt this technology, it should be really as simple as just putting in your wallet address and generating a report and being able to stay compliant with crypto. Like, you shouldn't have to spend 30, 40 hours trying to manage your accounting, essentially. So Crypto Tax Calculator, that's what we've built out to really help Web3 users who have quite a unique experience, because you're essentially being your own bank, but in that regard, you don't have your own bank statement, and we help you generate all these reports so that you don't have to worry about it.
I'm pretty sure you're solving a lot of people's headaches, man, because I mean, tax itself is such a daunting thing, and doing it every single year with no organization could be very tough. So I'm really glad I took a look myself. It's very organized. I think the experience is pretty seamless. So I think that's what's going to help a lot of people use it. Speaking of which, I know you just mentioned right now you're building a DEX 2018. So first and foremost, you've been in the space for some time now. You've seen some things, but from a founder perspective, from a builder perspective, I know you mentioned that tax was a nightmare building the DEX, but can you give us some insight from a founder perspective about pivoting and timing of things in order to build products that work?
Yeah, I think for me, I got really curious about smart contracts and how they actually work. A decentralized exchange is, a natural extension of exploring that. I think like the thing that led to success from a startup perspective was actually pursuing a personal pain point, which was the crypto tax nightmare. There's a lot of startup problems out there where, as a founder, you might think there is a problem in the market, etc., but it really isn't a problem, and essentially the startup isn't solving anything, and so it's just a derivative, or it's not really actually closing a gap. But when you actually have a solid personal problem, which is actually a nightmare, like creating a lot of intense negative emotion, then that's something that's probably worth pursuing. So wherever there is a lot of emotion, and it wasn't just personal when I went out and talked to customers, etc., there was a lot of negative emotion behind the pain. And that's what they mean by pain point, is like, what's the level of pain? Like, is there actually a really strong negative reaction? Or, that's indicative of a serious problem that's worth addressing. And I think that's where, because as a startup, you've got such limited capital, you need to be able to uncover those problems that have such a big gap, like there's like a vacuum. And so, you know, when you do create something, because it's not going to be perfect at first, it's going to be pretty rough around the edges because you've got no capital. You're just, you know, hacking away in your room on a computer or something like this. For it to work, you need like a really strong vacuum to kind of suck you in. And that's what they kind of talk about with product market fit, is where the market is kind of pulling you in. And that's what you're really looking for as a founder, is you're trying to find where these vacuums are in the market. And then if you plug something into it, it might not be perfect, but it sucks you right up. And that's where, you know, because of that experience, you can go out and raise capital from VCs, or, you know, you're being able to bootstrap it up. But that's where it comes from, is that kind of vacuum in the market and being able to identify that.
I think that's a really interesting way to describe it, as a vacuum, because, like you said, it sucks you in. And how can you plug something in there that works and at the end of the day solves that critical pain point? So thank you so much for sharing that, man. The next question, shifting focus, is more general. I know, again, you're a builder, also from a consumer standpoint. What do you think is going to aid adoption? Do you think it comes down to good UX? Does it come down to education? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, to be really honest, I mean, it's quite unsexy, but I'd say regulation is actually
Mhm.
going to help a lot. The reality is that crypto is a very unregulated market at the moment. There's a lot of gray area.
Mhm.
And as a founder, when you go to build anything, I had this experience of building a decentralized exchange. It is very murky. Like, are you on the right side or the wrong side of the law? And
Mhm.
that actually personally detracted me from continuing, building in the space, because we got, you know, we tried to
Yeah.
engage regulators. It was pretty clear that it was actually going to be very difficult. That was back in 2018. At
Yeah.
the time, the founder of Ether Delta was going through the courts with security frauds, etc. So I think it actually scares off a lot of talent, is the lack of
Mhm.
regulation, a lot of entrepreneurial minds.
Yeah.
And so if there was clearer regulation, it would actually attract a lot more innovators to the space. It would kind of, you know, also shake off some of the bad vibes that kind of arise with things like FTX, etc. And then this would actually advance the space a lot more, is regulation, which is not what a lot of people probably want to hear. Like, a lot of people in crypto are
Yeah.
anti-regulators. But the reality is, I think there's definitely some good benefits there in creating a level playing field,
Yeah.
rather than just rewarding those who are willing to take the most risks from a you know, from a regulatory perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it's one of those topics that you get people on both sides of the spectrum, right? You get people in the middle too. You get people really hardcore anti-regulation. You get people for regulation. So it's one of those things where I think inevitably something's going to happen and it'll make the space healthier, if you will, like you mentioned. The last question I have for you, Shane, is what are you bullish on for 2023 and for the years to come?
I'm really bullish on our own product, to be honest. Crypto
Awesome. Yeah.
tax calculator. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been building out a lot of features to really try to solve this nightmare. I think anyone trying to do their crypto tax today, it is actually really like a 9 out of 10 pain point. There's a
Mhm.
lot of players in the category who just don't get it. They've been more focused on centralized exchanges, and they're not really servicing the unique needs of Web3 community
Mhm.
and all the complexity that arises from doing all types of stuff like degenning, you know, all types of different networks. And yeah, we're building a lot of features here where we're really confident we're actually going to be able to solve this problem.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, I think being a founder, right? You gotta believe in your product, and I think you do have a great product in your hands. So, definitely something to be bullish on. So, Shane, thank you so much for sharing time with me today. Giving us some founder insight, your perspective onboarding, not onboarding, but adoption, and then really explaining to us what crypto tax calculator can do for a user like me and all those users trying to make sure they stay organized on taxes. So, thank you, Shane, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks so much.
Peace.